Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to a beautiful sunny day in Centerton. And I will make a quick note that the fire department had a call there on the weekend, and unfortunately the house that was lost. And but fortunately there was nobody in the home at the time, and we did have a minor incident with one of our firefighters, but he's I think it was a sprained ankle, I believe, or something like that, which is a serious, but thankfully that's all it was. So just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. I will confirm that, well, first of all, this is our regular council meeting for Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. And I will confirm that all members of council are present, as well as the municipal clerk. I'll call the meeting to order at 9:34 a.m. And first of all, we'll start with our territorial land acknowledgement. We respectively acknowledge that the township of Allen-McCullough is located on the Mississauga-Ashaninbenk territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississaugan-Ashaninbenk. The township of Allen-McCullough respectively acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation and are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Mover of the agenda, motion to approve the agenda, is recommended that the Council of Corporation of Township of Allen-McCullough enact as follows: that the agenda for the regular council meeting on May 13th, 2025 be approved. Can I get a mover and a second? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Booth. All in favor? That's carried. Disclosure of the preliminary interest or general nature thereof. Are there any items for disclosure? Seeing none, that'll be recorded. Then we're going to move on to approval of the minutes, and we have 3 council meeting minutes that are asked to be approved. The council meeting of April 8th, 2025, the municipal planning regular council meeting of April 22nd, 2025, and the special council meeting of the 23rd of April, 2025. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Councilor Booth. Any discussion?
So,
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
through your Mayor Lobo, I just wondering if we had an update on the interim treasurer. Just like the RP's gone out and just an update, thank you.
Yeah, we can do that. I think we should be doing that. Should we be doing that from the business around the previous minutes? This is more to just to correct to make sure everything is
Okay.
correct.
I just know it was in the April 8th minutes, that's all.
Okay.
So I certainly can
Can you
read.
hold on?
Yep, sure, thank you.
Mayor Catherine, did you have your hand up?
It was a good question.
Okay. I have one point that, and I'm not exactly sure, but on the minutes from April 22nd. There is for page 2, item 10.3. I'm wondering if it should be zoning Z03 and not Z02, because there's twice I noticed on 2 different applications that we're using Z02. So if we could have that checked out, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Any other comments? Then we'll get to new business rising. All in favor? Motion's carried. And next we'll move on.
Sorry, I do have further for Mr. Rarkin, my apologies.
Yes,
I'm wondering if, I'm not sure, I guess I'm asking our CAO, when we will be expecting to see some Q1 financial reports?
okay.
Through your mayor, so those have been approved for the agenda for the committee of the whole next week.
Thank you. And just perhaps all of these will be on it, so I'll say them all then together. The quarterly update from the recreation.
I'm sorry, can you hold on just for a second, because we really should be approving the committee of the whole meeting minutes. Then we'll go to business arising in the previous minutes. Just to all approved. So the next item up is the committee of the whole meeting minutes of April 25th. April 15th, pardon me, 2025. Can I get moved and seconded to approve those minutes? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor Booth, all in favor? Motion is carried. Now we'll go to Joan and then I'll come to you. Councillor O'Neill. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Oh, I'm going to, it was discussed, I would wait for the report on the agenda item. The only question I had to do with the update on the interim treasurer, the RFP.
Okay,
So I thought we were,
you should ask that now because that was in
Okay.
part of the reports that you already seen.
okay.
So after we approve the minutes, then we should, if there's any business arising from the minutes, that's when to bring it up. Okay,
Okay,
thank you, Deputy Mayor. Now go ahead.
well, this has to do with April 8th minutes.
Yep.
And it has to do with an update on the RFP and when to expect that position to be fulfilled.
Okay. Position is the interim treasurer.
Treasurer assistance.
Treasurer assistant. Dave, can you fill us in on that?
Again, through your mayor. So the process that staff followed was that about a week after it was approved at the last, the April council meeting, we started to create the RFP. We went through the revision process. They needed our interim treasurer to approve it as well. We had final draft copy last week and it was posted yesterday.
Oh, good.
It is to be closed on May 30th, with hopefully a report back to council in June.
Thank you.
Councillor O'Neill, do you have any thoughts or comments regarding business arising?
No, this isn't arising, but it's more a question of when will it arise? So I've already asked about the Q1 financials, but the recreation, the quarterly report, the contract awards for the summer road projects, have they been tendered and when will we hear from that? And the Battle Shield Industries donation.
Yeah, those aren't really part of the agenda.
Yes, and so mine, I don't know when the appropriate time to ask, when some things will be coming up on future agendas. I'm not sure at what point to ask those questions, but it is information. I have.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? There was no motion just for that, is there?
We got one.
Okay, item 6.1, Committee of the Whole, April 15th, update to the Arena Complex Food Service Provider expression of interest. As I recall reading that, there was a concern about bringing in trucks. And reading from that is that there's a bylaw that says you cannot bring in food vendor trucks within a certain distance of the existing businesses. You can summarize that, or if you have anything to add on to that, Jeremy, appreciate it.
Yeah,
That's basically it.
that's basically it, Mr. Mayor, just the original report that came forward. Was asked to include food trucks. We reviewed the food truck bylaw. There's a couple things in there that's specific to the arena site would prevent food trucks from being there. So just for 2025, if we can go forward with the food truck element and then in future bring back some possible amendments to that bylaw.
So just so I perfectly understand, you're saying you'd like to still go out for quotes?
Still go forward with expression of interest
Yes.
for potential operator for the canteen spaces for this summer, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the way I understood it too. Does anybody have any questions from Jeremy? Go ahead, Councilor Booth.
And through your worship, just to Jeremy, so is baseball aware of this then? Because I don't know, maybe somebody else knows, but I believe they've had food trucks there before for some of their tournaments, right? Which could be an issue.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure if baseball is aware or not, but certainly it's something that we will flag with them. And depending on the outcome of this proceeding and then the results of the expression of interest, that will all formulate part of that conversation.
Yes, go ahead. See you.
Through your mayor to Councilor Booth. I believe that when the bylaw was created to stop food trucks from attending the arena was potentially at a time when the canteen was in operation, so that there wasn't direct competition and we were supporting the company that we had renting the canteen. So it has been identified that the bylaw possibly needs to be revised for the future, but if the township is going to continue to rent and have a business occupy the canteen, then it may be prudent that we leave that in place.
Any other, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Just to clarify, Mayor Lobo, are we at 6.1 or are we still at 5.2?
I think we're at 6.1.
Okay. If I may ask a question to Jeremy, it would have to do with the time constraints of this whole process. Through you, Mayor Lobo, to Jeremy, and thank you, Jeremy. I did send you an email, and we are just heading into baseball season and soccer season and everything else that goes there. So time is of the essence, and you're thinking this whole process, depending on what information you get, it could be done fairly quickly.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yeah, depending on the different scenarios that exist here, depending on what comes back with the expression of interest. Some scenarios could be fairly timely and others could be drawn out, but I couldn't take an estimate until I know the results of the EOI.
Mayor Lobo, if I may just clarify one more thing just for myself. So your expression of interest right now would be not having to deal with the food truck. It would be strictly the canteen. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Mike, you had your
Yeah, to you, Mayor. So I probably need some clarification on that, because I was under the understanding until the canteen was ready, the food truck might be there. I believe you've already used the food truck at different tournaments because they have to book special tournaments and they have to have food for those tournaments. So the food truck has already been there last year. So to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. We need it there, and tell someone, whether they open up the canteen outside and the canteen inside. But it all should be part of it. I don't know where the bylaw came from to the 500-meter part of it all. I mean, we should be promoting businesses in town, not trying to stop them. So something that really needs to be looked at.
I can respond to my understanding of it. The people that were in 500 meters are some restaurants that pay taxes year-round to run those operations. A food truck doesn't pay anything, to my knowledge, for taxes anyways. And I don't think they've ever dealt with the township before, if there has been some there. I can't say that I've seen them there, but so if you're, the reason behind that is to look after the people that are in business rather than take them, put their businesses at risk. In my opinion, we'd like to be able to service people that are coming to the canteens. We'd all like to do that, I think. And it's just a case of what's the best way to do that. And I think Jeremy's come up with a good idea to see if they if someone is interested. And if there's not, perhaps we should be looking at the bylaw and saying that one case or one-time scenarios or two-time scenarios, that's a lot different than operating at something 7 days a week. And you do need it for those tournaments, in my opinion.
Mayor Lobo, if I may just ask one more question, it would have to do with the state of affairs at the canteen, the outside canteen. Through you, Mayor Lobo, to Jeremy, would you know or have any estimate of time it would take to bring that canteen up to the standard that it could be used by a business?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the estimate is about a week.
Okay. Thank you.
And maybe I'll follow up if I could. We would expect not to supply any of the equipment that's needed to whatever the business.
nothing about what's currently in there.
Okay. Okay, so go ahead, Mike.
Through you, Mayor, so in the interim, if we need to, can we also apply a food truck in there?
Okay, my opinion would be that we should go, not do that, we should go to the other ones first, see if there's somebody who wants to operate it within the bylaw. Go ahead. Sure.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I know the big concern, especially with the food truck, is during the weekends. There is a scenario, if everything aligns, where there could be an operator in time for the first tournament. I can't speak to food trucks being there last summer and stuff like you referenced. Obviously, I wasn't here, but the bylaw's been in place since 2001. So, I would say, let's hope that the stars align and that we have an operator in there for that first tournament, because certainly, you know, the bylaw exists to prevent that for now, but definitely it's been flagged as something for possible future rewrite or amendment.
When is your first tournament that you're talking about?
June 7th.
June 7th, okay. And I'll make one other further comment, and that's what you, Greg. My thought was that the Legion involved had some involvement in it. And they were coming down and selling sandwiches and that type of stuff. A few years back, or maybe hamburgers too. I don't know if that still exists, but. Go ahead.
Your worship, if the stars don't align, I mean, I know one of the businesses, the Lassen Ladle, has a food truck, right? So maybe they could be involved, Mike, with, because they would be one that would be within 500 meters. So it's just sort of an extension or something. Maybe they could help out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because as the mayor said, we want to promote the people that are paying the taxes, and there's a couple of restaurants nearby, and I don't think it's fair that if you let somebody, you know, from North York come set up for the day and then take all the business, right?
But what you're proposing, my understanding, what you're proposing is to have someone there through the week and sometimes in the Saturday, or you're just talking strictly for tournaments.
I'm proposing mutually agreeable scheduling dates. We wouldn't want somebody to set up if it's not going to be, if it's going to be at a complete loss, and we know that it's only 1 hour of ball. But certainly something that's going to work for an operator and the township and the users collectively.
Go ahead, Mary Gavin.
And the only times that it would be available would be during ball times, not just it's convenient for the operator to do it Wednesday night, even if no one's there.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, again, I would say mutually agreeable. So if it works for them and it works for us and everybody's, you know, in agreement, certainly the primary purpose of an on-site canteen, either within or in the arena or outside, is to enhance the user experience when they're on site. So whether that's ball users or some kind of other something that's happening down there, whatever, the intent would not be for somebody to run a restaurant or, you know, a 7-day-a-week operation out of there and circumvent opening a business either.
I think, Esso did it a few years back with their pizzas. And they decided it wasn't a good thing to do. So just making that point. But at the time, that was something within the 500 meters. But what do we need to do here then, members? Okay. Chief, we want, the motion is to receive for information. And then we'll let Jeremy go proceed. Can I get a mover to second? Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Jeremy. 6.2, Committee of the Whole, and this one is regarding the Alma Culverman Bylaw Department update for information. Dave, you have any comments? Is this called up for a reason? Oh, it wasn't called up, was it? Okay. You asked for more information, Dave? Yep. You have some more information for us? Yep, go ahead, please.
Through you, Mayor to Council, Councillor Neal had asked a very important question, and that was with respect to a concern of bylaw officers working alone during contentious times. In conversation with the county representatives, it is my understanding now that we will schedule our bylaw officers for this purpose during specific times of need. It won't necessarily be every weekend of the year. However, we are planning that for budgeting purposes. This position is fully funded by the county and not the township. And to answer the question directly, yes, absolutely, we will schedule 2 bylaw officers when we need to, and or we could work with other agencies like OPP and or security companies should the need arise. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take a motion and then we'll open it up for further debate. That the council received report CA 2025-14 Elm Calderman Bylaw Department update for information. Moving to second, moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stoller. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Next, we move on to the Committee of the Whole report for the Grafton Traffic Safety Review update. Item 6.3. The council received, well, Dave, do you have some comments on this before we need the motion?
Yes, through you, Mayor, as an update as provided in the update report, that there was a section where the numbers were identified in miles per hour. Times by 1.6, you will get the kilometers per hour a reading for it. In consultation with Joule Engineering, that it does not change the outcome, and that also in the updated report, I have provided a list of items that in a meeting with our roads department manager that we can accomplish before the 2025-26 school season. And preparation will be going through to get that accomplished. And we can do that under the capital dollars identified in the budget. What it means is we will have to pull back in another area to be appropriate with the funds.
Thank you, Dave. Questions for the, yes, go ahead.
First, just a comment that the, center line was a little slowing down. I've seen them in a number of school zones. I see the mayor, deputy mayor nodding as well. So clearly this is something being used more extensively in the past, but it did get me to slow down anyway. Port of the Lakes has now gone to 40 kilometers per hour in all of their settlement areas. And I know that we said we're not tackling that piece of expanding it, but with the Highway 2 thing, could that be looked at as well during that and then bring the 2 reports together and have a discussion on that at that point?
Go ahead, Dave.
Through your mayor too. So there is a call in the recommendation list to expand the 40 kilometer zone, which staff are going to look at that for sure. The one recommendation to move south of the Grafton Public School back up to a 60 zone to Lakeshore is something that staff feels that we shouldn't do because there are a ton of pedestrian traffic that utilize that road source. With respect to Highway 2, what I would recommend is that our representative on the county council take that to county council as an ask and find out if Highway 2 could be made a 40 zone within the Grafton core.
And I'll make a comment on that. I'm not sure, do we have it in Roseneath, 40 kilometers speed?
Yes.
By the school.
So wherever there is a school zone, it is 40 kilometers an hour. Potentially, just as a suggestion, the ask in the downtown core could be where your immediate downtown core is. So coming into Grafton, it is a 60, then it goes to a 50. Once you get in towards the post office, and then maybe up through the street that runs to the Catholic school, could be a 40 zone, and then back up to 50 and 60, but that would be up to the county to do that.
Yes. We can certainly take that back to in the county, I'd be happy to do that. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through your Mayor Lobo, the only, I just offer a comment. This is really exciting considering what isn't there and what is planned for the summer and for September. Certainly going to make things a lot more clearer where everybody's lines are and a lot more safer. So I really look forward to all this and thank you to the roads department and our CAO for implementing all this. Thank you.
Another comment? Councilman
Yes, when I read the report, Station Road, and then I looked at our roads needs study and it said 6 to 10 years. And then last week I realized what that actually meant when we had the fellow presenting that. That means that road is in complete disrepair in 6 to 10 years. So fix it now. So I'm just, that was flagged in the report. So we're looking to the next steps for 2026. Budgeting for the repairs on Station Road. I think it's something we need to keep high on that list.
I tend to agree with you, and there's priorities 2, 3, and 4 that haven't been addressed yet, and those are going to be expensive. And along with Station Road, particularly north of, are you talking north of the school? Yeah, that section and a half kilometer, whatever it is, that probably needs to be, and in my opinion, we should be asking staff to look at priorities 2, 3, and 4 and see if we can get some assistance in funding from either the province or the school boards or whatever, because you know, we have a responsibility for the safety and with the expansion going on south and east of Old Danforth, that also has to be taken into consideration. And in my opinion, there's a possibility of getting some funding. Like there's no funding available now, but there could be funding available if they consider that as part of the expansion of getting more houses built, that type of thing. Go ahead, Dave.
Through your mayor to council, to help you with the funding part of it. Well, this is a front end loading of requirement on the township to get this done. With respect to our plan, and I already have discussed our future subdivision agreements, and there will be provisions put in place for funds to be obtained for sidewalk expansion, for lighting, for overall safety. And this is another area that your development fund can help pay for. So while we will pay for it immediately, our hopes are that we'll be able to identify funds coming from our DC account to replenish.
Sidewalks. Okay.
No, excuse me. If I just one more comment, when I was driving slowly up Station Road on Sunday, I noticed the sidewalk that is in place. And I'm thinking that's going to be huge in keeping the kids that are heading south from the school. But when I look at the sidewalk, it's quite unique how it follows the curve of the road down. I don't know. I've yet to walk it, but it's nice to see it. It's nice and wide.
I can help you out. I've walked it a few times, and it is nice. It is
Yeah.
nice. And it's consistent, and it's going to be a challenge, particularly when we consider that they may want to do some work on County Road 2. And they'll be asking if we want to update the sidewalks. And that is my understanding. Well, I know that is not the responsibility of the county. That's the responsibility of the lower tiers. So that could come to fruition as well. So we just, okay, go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah. No, through you, Mayor, just a couple of things. I want to talk a little bit about the crossing guard that was in that priority 1. And, you know, whether maybe at this time we could look for maybe a volunteer person to do it, you know, that might, you know, somebody retired that might want to do something like that, would be maybe an avenue to try. And I don't want us to forget about, you know, Lakeport, as we're going through all these safety, traffic safety issues and stuff, that, we should maybe look at that also, as long as, also with roads need in that area, so.
Yeah,
I know it's all extra work and extra time and maybe an extra report, but, you know, we should be looking at all those areas.
well, I actually wrote up a list of, Mike, there was, Lakeport, Vanilla, Vernonville, and Centerton. Now, with, some of them, they are county control roads.
Hmm.
So we may not be able to do as much with them, but certainly, and Wicklow is another one too, but certainly, Vernonville. Hopefully we can have do we have community centers in smaller, not community centers, community safety zones in smaller areas as well, Dave? For example, Vernonville and,
I believe we would have to look at that
okay,
and take stock of it.
okay, so anybody else have any other comments regarding this? I think we're saying, Dave, we love what you're planning on. Oh, I have one other question. What is tactile plate? Does anybody know what the tactile plate is? That's on the, item 11 of the reports. Don't go
I
ahead.
could be wrong, maybe you know more, Dave, isn't that, you know, when you see the metal plates with the little round dots up them, they usually are at crosswalks or at intersections on the lower part? You see them, that's what I'm guessing they are.
They are, where the kind of places where you described, but I don't recall ever seeing one.
That's what I would think it is, I'm no expert, but. You
Yeah,
see
you
them
make
a
it-
lot now in intersections, right, especially where the sidewalk sort of slopes down and it's just usually a metal plate, those little round things, just
Anyways,
I'm sure the experts, so.
it was pretty, reasonably priced. I think they were $1,000 or something like that, so. I think it's a good thing to see what's being done, if we get started on it. I know there's lots of interest in the Grafton about getting some of the safety studies done, or taking action to the safety items, and with the expansion, I think it's a great idea, so here's what the recommendation, resolution was. The council received report CA 202515, the Grafton Traffic Safety Study Review, update for information, and the council approved the implementation plan for priority one items. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilman Booth. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Congratulations, Dave. We look forward to seeing what you can do and get it all done before the September return of school. Okay, item 6.4, committee of the whole recommendations. The first one is recommendation 1, that council approve the creation of a part-time bylaw enforcement position to work 6 hours, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every weekend throughout the calendar year. Can I get a mover and a seconder to put it on the floor? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. And my question is, should we have that as every weekend, or should we change it to as deemed necessary by staff? Up to a limit of, I think it's $30,000 or something like that. You have a comment, Dave? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through your Mayor Lobo, this was a recommendation that came from the committee of the whole. The one question I would have, and when I read this, I thought it was up to, but it's enforcement position to work 6 hours year round. And would there be enough work? Like if it's this weather, this is 4-wheeling, and then they would swing into snowmobiling, is that it?
I guess that's basically what it is, Dave.
Okay, thank you.
And it's 6 hours each day, it's not 6 hours for the week, it's 6 hours each day.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And that's why perhaps that you were thinking, sometimes you may need two, and sometimes you may just need one. Here, Catherine?
If we look back at the report that came forward today, it does change the wording. It says as needed throughout the calendar year. So I think that's the wording from the report. And I do think it is important that we do add the caveat up to a maximum of.
Or they want to make a couple of amendments? Yeah, okay. You want to make your formal amendment then, please?
Okay, that is be worded as above. So the council approved the creation of a part-time bylaw enforcement position to work 6 hours Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as needed throughout the calendar year with a maximum of a $30,000 cap. Cap is sufficient. We don't need both. Cap in there.
That please. A little bit slower speed, so.
Okay, yeah, I'm reading it. It's in the report that just came forward earlier in this meeting. The council approved the creation of a part-time bylaw enforcement position to work 6 hours Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as needed throughout the calendar year with a cap of $30,000.
I need a seconder for that thing. Seconded by Councilor Booth. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
Should this be a contract for 1 year? Since this is something we're trying with the county and they are funding it for this year. But if we didn't put in their contract and if we didn't proceed, we'd have an awkward position with our employee. Deputy Mayor's nodding, so am I asking to amend my own amendment here?
Is this are you suggesting this be a contract position? What? What we're talking about now is different than what's initially on approved and second. Is that correct? A different way of saying that? So we have a motion on the floor that you made and you're seconded by Greg. Now we're going to suggest that we change it a little bit.
I think,
Is that right?
to add one more word to that, amend it by adding council approved the creation of a contract for part-time. Just so that we don't end up with a permanent employee if this doesn't work out after this year.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Mayor, I know, I was under my understanding, I could, might be wrong, but I thought we were just gonna use our trained enforcement officers that we have.
I'm not sure whether that's can do that or not. But yes. Yes.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, we've got multiple things on the go right now. So in order to try to keep some things organized to make sure everybody gets heard and the different amendments taken care of. Right now, the amendment on the floor is that the original motion, which is that council approve the creation of a part-time bylaw enforcement position to work 6 hours Friday, Saturday, and Sunday every weekend throughout the calendar year. So the motion to amend right now, that's on the floor for discussion, is to amend that original one to read as needed throughout the calendar year with a cap of 36,000 per calendar year. Is what I have. So that one was moved and seconded.
Is that 30,000 or 36?
Was it 36 or 30?
30.
So that one there, my recommendation procedurally to help keep things clean, because we're talking about two very distinct things. One, we are talking about as needed throughout the calendar year, as opposed to just every weekend. The second piece would be the status, the employment status would be part-time permanent or part-time contract for specific. I would say do those as two separate amendments instead of amending an amendment to, it just gets very complex. So I would say deal with one matter at a time to help keep things moving along. And so it's just clear for everybody.
Thank you. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Just for a little clarification for me, what I really don't know if we need to do an amendment because it says in the report as needed. It's already there, so I'm not sure how we would proceed if it's already in the report, but it's not in the motion. Does it?
But now it is in the motion.
We're wanting to get it in the motion, but it was already in the report.
Yes, the
Okay.
report, but it's different, in my opinion, that's different than actually, the report suggests that, but it doesn't say that's what we're going to do. And that's the council's decision as to what we're going to do. Does anybody ever have any further comments on the current motion on the floor? The amended one on the floor. Any further questions on that? All in favor of that? That's carried. Now, if we wanted to add something, what is your thoughts on that?
To add a part-time contract, so it's clear it's not part-time permanent, so.
Anybody else have any comments on that, Councilor Booth?
And through your worship, just, I think we all were, I was hoping anyway, so it's for the year, the rest of this year, 2025, and then I'm sure the CAO can come to
Did
us.
I get a move in second to reach over this?
I'll second it.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just to discuss it, that we're doing it for 2025, and then Dave can come back to us at the end of the year and tell us if it's successful and he wants to continue to whatever, so. If you want to put the words contract in there, it makes sense to me that you don't want to hire somebody and then come January, if the CAO decides that the hours are cut back or whatever, that person's disappointed. So I'm sure we can leave that with Dave and them to discuss who they're having do it. It's for the rest of this year, and then we'll see what happens next year, right?
I wonder if we're getting a little bit in the weeds as to who we're telling them to hire and who we're not to hire. CAO?
Through you, Mayor, just to help with a bit of guidance for council. This was presented as a pilot project for 25. So that it would be prudent that it would be under a contract position. Yes, it does need to come back to council if it's going to be a continuation into 26. With respect to, can we have our existing bylaw do this? This was identified as a separate position, and for transparency and ensuring that we're meeting our HR requirements, it will need to be posted.
And then that will be returned to 2025. Right? So is there any need for that to be on then?
I don't think so. Dave's just gonna post it for 2025, then we just leave it with him.
And it says a pilot for me.
Just so long as the person who gets hired understands that this is contract, they're not a permanent employee.
I'm sure that will be handled. So would you like to withdraw your motion? Mayor Gavin?
Just to check with the CAO. Which way do you want?
Fine either way.
I think it's better to leave it there because then that becomes the directive and it's just clear to everyone. I don't think it hurts anything to have it there, and it perhaps adds to clarity.
Okay,
Is it being posted as a pilot project?
don't know, Dave, can you answer that or not?
With respect to advertising for employment, we don't use the term pilot
Right.
project. What we identify is that it's a contract position.
Okay, perfect.
Any other further questions or comments? All in favor of the motion? We're adding, pardon me, what the proposal is to add, amend to read part-time contract. Good. So is that to amend the last motion, or is this a new motion?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this is a motion to amend the original motion to read, for the inclusion of the word contract, so that it reads that it's a part-time contract position.
To the original motion?
Correct. So Councillor O'Neill, you did ask, Councillor O'Neill if she wished to withdraw that. She did not, so we have an objection. So you do need to take a vote on whether or not council wants to include the word contract in the original motion.
Okay. All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you.
So
Circle back, okay.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, we've had two amendments to the original motion. So the motion that you're at now is, that was moved and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth with the amendments. Now reads that council approve the creation of a part-time contract by law enforcement position to work 6 hours, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as needed throughout the calendar year for a maximum of $30,000 per calendar year.
We've already approved that.
So we moved and seconded.
Yeah.
Now we're amending that call.
Let's call the vote on the amended one. All in favor of the amended? That's carried. Okay. We're gonna move on to recommendation number 2. That council directs staff to seek expression of interest for operating food services in the outdoor and indoor canteens, as well as for food truck service at the Alvin Community Memorial Complex. And it's my understanding, I think what we said, we would not include the truck for at this time. Moved by Councilor Booth.
Yeah.
Seconder, second by Deputy Mayor Stolberg. Councilor Booth, give a comment.
So going back to Jeremy's report there, I guess we need to amend it because he's asking us to remove the requirement for food truck.
Yes, that's my understanding. Thank you.
I'll move it that we remove the requirement for food truck. So that we could be in compliance, and I don't know the easiest way to do it, but that lead to.
Yeah, well, Councilor Ainsworth, give a comment, you're seconding that? Or do you want me to-
Well, no, I have a comment there.
Okay. I need a seconder before we can comment. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Wait, do they your first comment? Mike, do you have a comment?
Through you, Mayor, I guess I just have an issue with not having the food truck there because it could be a viable option for a couple of reasons. You know, so I just see it's better if we have that option there. I'd like to see it stay in there.
Okay. Any other comments?
I mean, something could happen to the arena, something could break down. Hydro could go in the middle of a big ball tournament, that could come in and on a generator and run. There's just many options for a food truck.
Thank you. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Lobo, I believe to expedite the process, it was to omit the food truck from the recommendation.
That's my.
Is that what you're thinking as well? So I was trying to
Councilor Booth, you go ahead while.
Through your worship, it just makes sense. What Jeremy's asking is we want to be in compliance and
Yeah.
adhere to our own bylaw.
Mhm.
So it's only saying that that's not going to be included in the RFP.
That's what I see.
Yeah.
If we, nobody's interested, then we come back and.
Then we go to the next group.
Sources, but what staff is asking is to,
Follow our own bylaw, which makes
Yeah.
sense.
yes. Further discussion. So all in favor of taking the reference to food truck out of that recommendation? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Okay. Everything. Yeah,
Okay, so through you, Mr. Mayor, you have the amended motion, which now reads that council directs staff to seek expressions of interest for operating food services in the outdoor and indoor canteens at the Haldeman Community Memorial Complex. And we have it originally moved by Councillor Booth and seconded by Deputy Mayor Storr.
yes. And we call, I was thinking I already called it. Well, we called it on this one, okay, all in favor? Motion is carried. Moving on. Our next recommendation, the council directs staff to seek expression of interest to sell and install advertising opportunities at the Holden Community Memorial Complex and other potential opportunities within the township as they arise. Can I get a mover in a second? Moved by Councilor Booth, seconded. Councilor Ainsworth, any questions or thoughts on this? Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
I still think that this might be a little bit premature as we haven't decided what to do there, but I'm not going to oppose it, but I also don't feel this is a high priority item.
Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor, I don't think this is just for the arena, this could go on fences, it could go on wherever, any of this advertising, right? So it's something that Jeremy could go out and get going on and find multiple areas to put some advertising up.
I don't know about fences, but certainly on property that we own, you'd probably be okay to put advertising. I just didn't like the word fences, but.
Well, I've seen them on the outfield fences before.
Well, yeah, oh, baseball,
The baseball diamond.
oh, I thought you meant
Yeah.
Joe Blows fence line.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would, yeah, in the proper places. Like the arena or the, just gonna pick on Bernville, I mean, if somebody wanted to pick it, pay for an advertisement in there, then we should do it. I do have a question though to Jeremy. And it kind of relates, you can sit there. It relates to, what Barry Catherine was saying. What happens, are we tied for just 1 year, or are we tied up for more than that? In those type of contracts?
Obviously, that'd be a negotiating piece with the contract.
Okay.
Right? We're just gonna go out and see if any of the companies that are working with other townships are interested in working with us to begin.
Okay,
Yeah.
and do we approve them then?
Yeah.
They come back for approval?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is basically just to put out feelers. Any further, questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Recommendation 4, that the flag policy for the township of Alderman be approved. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Councilor Booth, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Does anybody, have any questions or comments regarding that? Clear as mud? All in favor? That's carried. Next we have committee reports, Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. The council received the draft minutes of the Parks and Recreation meeting of May 5th, 2025 for information. Can I get a move and seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stolberg, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth, discussion. Go ahead, Councilor Neal.
I could ask you, Mayor Lowell, to attend the meeting on my behalf from your ex officio member, but I don't see you in attendance on the list, so I think that needs to be added.
I was there.
Thank you.
And that we duly reported, that's good. Other questions or comments? Deputy Mayor?
Through you, Mayor Lobo, I was just looking at the library board representative was absent, and I don't believe they were in attendance at the last one as well. So I was just wondering if it's specific to the person, or is this person noted as the representative from the board? I was just wondering what would be the easiest if one couldn't attend. Could another member attend in their place?
I don't really question. I think we appointed the person. Am I correct? Okay, we'll send that back to staff to check that out.
Thank you.
Because you can't. Go ahead, Kathy.
Through you to answer Joan's question, in the past, what had happened when it was Bill who was on there, if he wasn't able to attend, he was sending someone else. That person didn't vote, but they still could bring a perspective to the meeting, so that was sort of a solution to your point there.
And if I may, I believe this is a non-voting member, regardless of who is attending. So it would just be information highway. The other comment I had to do was with the work plan that is in place. It's very, very nice to see this all down in a document and given direction. So I was really happy to see that. And it wasn't the best of night for a tour, but you must have heard the frogs going.
Well, as they were singing,
Thank you.
it wasn't a bad night.
No.
No, they were threatening for rain, but I don't think we even got, well, we just we were getting back, it was the end of the game, but. Any other questions or comments? I'll mention the elbows up just so everybody knows that that's the theme for this year. And it's based on, what we're seeing in the news regarding the elbows up and the people that are leading that and making Canada a way of showing our pride in Canada. So that's how it was picked. I thought it was a good one. So, first of all, there's two motions. We've got the first one. Yes, yeah. Can you repeat? Okay, yeah, sure. You can answer.
I can answer it. So through you, Mr. Mayor, in regards to Deputy Mayor Stover's questions there about the library representative. So the chair was appointed by bylaw to sit on the committee. It is a non-voting position, so based on how there's some votes, it's again, that information highway, the conduit that we've discussed as well. In terms of your comments about the attendance, so because it is a brand new committee, we are still working through the finer workings. These have been meetings that have come in quick succession because we're trying to get it up and off the floor and to get the ball rolling so that we don't miss a great season coming forward with summer events. So that is something that we're working with our committee members on and trying to get it coachable. We did approve the static meeting dates going forward. So hopefully now that we've got some momentum there and some set dates, we can get moving.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. So I've read the motion regarding I believe I did, regarding the receiving the minutes. Do I get a second for that? Okay, so all in favor of receiving the minutes? Motion's carried. Second recommendation is that the council approve the themes elbows up for the 2025 Canada Day event. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor O'Neill.
I think this doesn't need to come before council, that this is the type of thing that we could trust our committees to make without it needing to become a council decision, because these types of things, when they're waiting for council approval, just slows down processes. And I trust that if the community thought elbows up, or the committee, I should say, thought elbows up was the way to go, perfect, I trust their judgment, and I don't see the need for it to be a recommendation. I agree with the theme, by the way, I think it's great, but they could have just told us rather than it needing to come to us for approval.
Councillor, pardon, Deputy Mayor Stover.
To your Mayor Lobo, to our clerk, would this be a procedural thing? Why it came this way and just for courtesy?
Mr. Clerk, can you respond to that?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the role of an advisory committee is to make recommendations to council. So they are new to this. They are not, they did not strike a subcommittee to create they did not strike a Canada Day subcommittee. So they're recommending to council that council and staff consider the elbows up as a theme. So in the past, themes have been established, but because this committee is not overseeing and organizing the event, in a subcommittee type atmosphere, they're bringing it forward again as a communication piece with council. They're doing their job as the advisory and the recommendations and opening up again those communication conduits. And we're really striving to keep everybody in their respective roles, in that council makes the decisions on their events and whatnot. And how they would like to see it roll out. So it's just a matter of, again, that communication and that courtesy coming forward to council as well.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor O'Neill.
I want to make sure I understood what I just heard, that I don't want to micromanage each and every activity moving forward in the municipality. So we've got a work plan here that has, 10 or 12 activities on it. If every sort of what I consider a detail has to come to us for approval, this is going to be a cumbersome process.
I think coming to council is a good opportunity to get it out it out. Otherwise, how would people know what, how would they pick it up that it's being promoted as Elbows Up Day? I just don't know how they would do it. And I tend to agree with you, not everything has to come to council, but anything that out of the ordinary has to come to council. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Recommendations, now is recommendation 1. Recommendation 2, that the council approve the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee 2025-2026 work plan. Can I get a move in a second for that? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Any discussion? I think it's aggressive. And I hope we support them for all of their hard work, and hopefully they can do it, but I don't think we can be critical if they don't make everyone, my opinion. We got to encourage them, I agree, but not be criticized because they are taking on a lot of different projects, all good projects. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Next we're going on to 12-1, 2025 tax rate and payment schedule. It is recommended the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Alma Calderman enact as follows. The council received report FIN 2025-02 2025 tax rates and payment schedule for information, and that a bylaw be brought forward for consideration to approve the tax payments, installment, due dates, and adopted the 2025 tax rates. Can I get a mover to second? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconder. Deputy Mayor Stover, any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor. This is another opportunity to get some communications out to our residents. And, I know we always talk about communicating and talk about, you know, can we bring this in, the tax payments and stuff, and can we bring that into like a computer program for people to go on and get their tax bills, just to help the process and communicate. So I wonder at this point, is it possible to put a bit of a blurb in there with a letter about getting emails into the township? And is it also possible to say, you know, can we put a deadline to it? You know, like say by, you know, January 26th, we want everybody's email because the mailing out's gonna stop. But we need to kind of get that program going. I know it costs $1,000 to send these letters out and tax bills out and stuff, so you know, every time we do one, we go by the process to try to make it better. So I wonder at this time, can we put our foot down and say, we need people's email because the mailing's gonna stop?
You want to comment to that, Mr. Seaver?
Sure, through your mayor, Councilor Ainsworth, that is listed as one of the requirements in our, or one of the goals in our strategic plan.
Yep.
Be completed by the end of 26. It is also listed as one of the opportunities to look at as part of our finance department review and interim treasurer assistant. So it's in there.
Okay.
I expect to be reporting back to you probably by, I would hope, Q3.
So is there something in this tax going out? Is there something in there to say about emails right now that we're going to be expecting them by?
I'm a little bit hesitant to do that because we don't know what we're expecting yet. You know, it's good to put up a date, but if we don't know what we're really
Wow.
expecting,
It would get us on it.
go ahead, Neil.
Through your mayor, so council, just so that you understand, collecting of the data and the information is something that has not been accomplished in the past. So our tax department has roll numbers and addresses, but we don't have a lot of phone numbers. We don't have a lot of email addresses. I'm not saying that to your laundry. I'm identifying that the process to gather information is an onerous task in itself. And once we embark in doing that, then we need to do that. Our planner did bring to council, I believe, over a year ago, to update our requirements with respect to planning, so that we, in recognition that we're not using newspapers anymore because we don't have one for issuing notices. So it is very apparently important that we identify the need for this, and so that we continue to work on it. With respect to staff capacity and the amount of things at the desk currently, we hope to get to it. And I do know that as part of the finance department review, that they will identify if we can do it with our current software. That's also compounded by the fact that the county is doing an investigation to see if all municipalities will move to a new finance program that might call for this as well. However, you can imagine dealing with 8,500 customers, that contacting them all is significant. Yes, our mail outs for our tax bill cost the township about $5,000 per mailing. So it will come at a significant cost savings, but we have to get there.
Okay, thank you.
And we're a little bit off subject because we're really discussing the tax billing, but maybe not. Maybe it's a good time to bring it up because we are sending the money. Any other further comments? All in favor? Motion's carried. Administrative reports, council training request by Mary Catherine, and this is to attend the AMO Rural Health Democracy Forum. Is that in El Monte?
I don't know if.
For June 11th, 2025. Can you tell me what that's a little bit about?
it was just one of those things where I clicked on there and they had a number of speakers and they were very specific to democracy in rural communities, which I think is a huge issue. To get, so that our residents understand democracy processes, get involved, and that our councils also understand what we can be doing to build up our own strengths, I guess. Anyway, it was a fascinating agenda there, and I just was like, oh, I could sit there for a day for this.
Okay, any questions from members of council? And I can move in a second to approve this by Deputy Mayor Stover, second by Councillor Ainsworth. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. And we have a second one from Councillor O'Neill, and that's to attend the AMO conference in Ottawa, August 17th to 20th. And the motion is that Councillor O'Neill be approved to attend the AMO annual conference from August 17th to 2025, and the funding come from the 2025 council training budget as per bylaw 06-2025. Mover and second. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor Booth. All in favor? And just as a follow-up, is there anybody else attending that? Okay. I'm not planning to go anywhere. Unless there's a delegation, but doesn't sound like there's a delegation. CLK 2025 Council Training Update Follow-up Session. The council received the report CLK 2025-04 Council Training Update Follow-up Sessions for information. And that staff be directed to, and got three options: book a half-day session with Town Hall Consulting for $4,500 plus mileage, funded through the General Government Reserve, or book a full day session with Town Hall Consulting for $6,200 plus mileage, funded through the General Government Reserve, or cancel the tentative scheduled follow-up meeting. Can I get a move in a second to put this on the floor? Pardon me? Oh, yeah, and which option that you motion, the motion when you're recommended? Can I get a move in a second? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll be Councillor, or Deputy Mayor Stover as a mover, second by Councillor Ainsworth.
Mr. Mayor, I need to know which motion, Deputy Mayor Stover is moving, which option?
If I may just clarify, if it is number 3, then the training would be complete. There would be no other training.
Through Mr. Mayor, yes, that's correct.
I would suggest number 2.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments? Councillor O'Neill.
I'm not sure, well, I'm confident that we're not ready to move ahead with a follow-up session because we made a number of commitments, but we didn't do the next step, which was to take those commitments and turn them into manageable actions that we can actually say, okay, we made progress here. We haven't made progress there. But for right now, if we were to have a follow-up meeting, it's like, well, we had a list and it's still the same list and we've not made any progress there. So I think we are not ready at this point to move forward with this. I think at some point we do want to move forward, but I think there's a very, very important step that needs to happen in between, which is to get these into manageable goals that we can show some progress on.
Thank you. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, to you, Mayor. Actually, that was kind of my idea too, is that we should maybe sit down as a group or have staff put together some of the recommendations that came from our first training And maybe ponder them over ourselves and, see where we've improved or where we need to keep improving. And then, have this training maybe at a later date.
Thank you. Councilor Booth, do you have any comments?
No.
Anybody else have any comments? I think we picked the right one. And two, because I think we can, benefit. Maybe we're not ready for it yet. And maybe Mike, along with Mary Catherine, come up with a good idea that we need some staff input of where we should go from here. And we look at those, there's 6 or 7 recommendations. There are opportunities.
Commitments, is the word.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It probably wouldn't hurt for us to have a meeting and ask staff to prepare something to say that here's where we're heading, here's what we should be doing to reach some of those, and then follow up. What do you think? If we don't want to put it off forever.
No, should be.
Go ahead.
One, I think you need to get your mic in front of you, Mary Lola.
Sorry.
I think I'm a little bit, I agree, except that I'm wondering if we have the capacity within council, instead of putting something else on to staff, and whether or not we want to do it as everyone who attended that day as part of these steps, or whether we perhaps staff wants to look at it from a staff perspective and council look at it from a council perspective. I am sort of thinking aloud here as we're speaking. But I do think we need to look at it internally and then have somebody come back. I think that's the right path, but the process of how we look at it, and not making it a cumbersome thing to look at.
Go ahead, Mike.
Through you, Mayor. So can we kind of do both things? Can we maybe have staff come back to us with a couple of, just pop-up meetings for these suggestions and, things that come out of the meeting the first time, and also book the next meeting. So we're not forgetting about it. That would kind of give us a path forward to get our brainstorming done and, then go to the next training session.
I'm listening to Mary Catherine for a few seconds. We still have to have staff attend our meeting.
Right, I'm just saying that we probably have the capacity within us to, format some of that stuff rather than relying on them to do all the formatting. I'm not saying to exclude, but I'm just saying who puts in that legwork in the background to do it. And I mean, it's not that huge. Probably just a chart with goal setting and blah, 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 but it still does take that little bit of time to do it.
Go ahead.
To your Myrtle, one of the things that pop up is a facilitator. And I mean, we could all do charts, but they might be, I don't want to say slanted, but it would be specific to just say, for instance, what I would like to see as a goal. That might be different than what you would like to see. Whereas if it was an outside facilitator, I believe it might be a little bit better to bring it full circle. When we're looking at staff to do it, I'm not sure what staff would do it. Not that they wouldn't do it, but I'm not sure if that is the right avenue to be going down. They're just questions that I just put out there.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mary Catherine.
Yeah, I think that we're looking at something internal here because otherwise we're paying more money again. And we have 9 very specific things. I think that the mayor is, as in his role as mayor, can lead, let's say, what do we want to do, the 5 of us on these 9 items, and then the CAO can do it with staff. What do we want to do on these 9 items and not make this overly complex, not come in with preparations before, but come out of the meeting? And I would think as it would be appropriate for the mayor to lead that discussion in his role as the mayor.
Well, I like your idea, I like all your ideas. I think Mike has got a pretty good idea, though, that we have to get something organized and planned so that we can bring back, town hall consulting at the appropriate time. So, does anybody have a motion that we can, and I don't mind changing. Don't know if I like it, but no, I don't mind changing it, no. Go ahead.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, we do have the motion on the floor that staff be directed to book a full day session with town hall consulting for 6,200 plus mileage funded through the general government reserve. In hearing the conversations from council, so we could certainly do more legwork ahead of time. The tentative date we have, I believe, is June 5th, but that's not to say that with this direction, should this motion pass, that we don't look at booking town hall consulting for later in the fall. That allows the time to take place and work, but we still have that that commitment that council is looking for, to having a facilitator come in to see, you know, the pulse check. How are you doing based on what the conversation's been today?
Okay. So are you asking for a date, first of all, in August or September or something like that? That's convenient.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the report did say for that tentative date in June, but through conversation of council is with consensus that, you know, say, let's push it from June to the fall. If this is the way that council wants to go, is still booking this full day session. That's something that we can look into. And we can just take that on board and take that away, that instead of June, we'll go with the fall date. If council wants the full day.
Yeah, we don't want to push it away so we never get to it, because that's concerning too. I get confused. Historically, has the township not had meetings in August? Or is it July? I get confused, it's two different ones.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, we do have a council break in August. And that's to allow catch up on work, but also it's a high holiday season, but it also allows that break. And that's typical throughout the county for meetings in August.
Okay. Except for the county itself.
Big break in July.
They break in July. But anyway, so that's a reasonable request. I know people want to get some holidays and everything else, so first of all, can we shoot for a day sometime in September is what I would suggest, that make the motion to adjourn, reflect the staff that in September
For town hall.
for town hall meeting, yes. September, December, that's the summer, September is this summer. Well, I would say not in August, but as soon as possible after that. How's that? Because we, you know, Mr. Ribbon, we're busy, but we have to do it.
We need to have a goal in place of what we're targeting for.
Yeah. So let's shoot for September. Do you agree with that, Uber?
Yes.
Yeah.
So amend
Yeah.
3.
Then we're going to come back together with them too. Go ahead.
So because I heard the word amend, let's keep it formal.
Well,
So that we'll amend the original motion to read September. Staff be directed to book for September or something to that effect. I'll clean it up in the notes, but we'll add September to the mix.
Thank you.
All in favor?
So.
Oh, we need a second. I thought Council Ainsworth did. Council Ainsworth, you will?
Yeah.
All in favor? Motion's carried. Now, let's get back to the staff, pardon me, I'm sure the staff can look after and they'll do whatever they need to do. we encourage you to continue to discuss, and I believe you're doing that, but I think the real challenge is the council along with senior staff have to get together and go over those 9 different items and see where we are and see where we want to be by the end of September. Any comments?
Absolutely, and I was going to suggest that on the part of council ourselves, that we could look at that list as soon as possible, even at potentially the committee of the whole meeting next week.
I don't put on the schedule for the committee of the whole. Useful.
We put
Okay.
as soon as possible as the time.
Well, I think it has to be as soon as possible. It doesn't have to be the committee of the whole, is it? Okay, it's a long committee of the whole, so maybe we'll be able to do it at the planning meeting, if possible, for the first meeting in June, and that should give us some time to go over it. And if we have to have another meeting before September, or depending when the September date line comes, then we'll go from there. But I want to see if we can handle that and see if we cannot work together to resolve some of our issues as well as take on those goals that were suggested by town hall. So I don't know, need a mover and a seconder to do that. Oh, we haven't got the amendment, we didn't all vote. All in favor of the amendment, which was the 6,200 or item 2? Or with the date? Yes, please.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, we have the amended motion that was originally moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. That councillor receives report CLK 2025-04, council training update follow-up session for information. And that staff be directed to book a full day session in September 2025 with Town Hall Consulting for 6,200 plus mileage funded through the general government.
All in favor? The motion is carried. Now we're talking, can we get another motion that we set up a meeting? Or not set up a meeting, see if we can have it at either the planning meeting. Or make planning meeting, or the first meeting in June. Is what I'm thinking, but go ahead, Mary Catherine.
A motion that council add to the earliest possible agenda to have a discussion of the commitments and council's action, and further that we direct staff to also meet as soon as possible and discuss the not meet as soon as possible. At their next staff meeting, include discussion of the 9 commitments.
Let's move, seconded. Seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Human resources support. The council received report HR 2025-02, human resources support for information, and that council approved an additional $50,000 plus HST for HR support services from Reset HR Consulting and Investigations for continued union negotiations, and that bylaw be brought forward to amend bylaw 2025 to reflect the increased budget amount for HR support services. Can I get a mover and a second? To put it on the table. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Deputy Mayor.
I'm fine, this is necessary to. Through your Mayor Vogel, this is a necessary next step, and I go along with the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ainsworth.
To you, Mayor. I guess I got some concerns, like, you know, we started out with 20, then we went with 50, so that's 70, and another 50, we're up to $120,000, right? So, you know, looking at our tax increase and stuff, I know we have to get through this. Will there be a report coming to tell us where the first $70,000 went? And, you know, do we need, you know, like a process of where the next 50 is gonna go? Like, are we running into a stalemate with what's going on with negotiations? It's a lot of money. I know it has to get done. And, you know, I just don't wanna pass this today, not knowing where the other 70 went. How would I would like to see a report on it. And at the same time, I understand it needs to get done.
Thank you. Mayor Cavan, you have a comment?
I fully concur with Councillor Ainsworth's, comments and concerns. I share those. I have to confess that my gut reaction when I saw a further request, because this did come to budget and it was my understanding that the 50,000 was the appropriate amount. And so my gut reaction when it was another 50,000 on top of that is, are there problems? What is going on here? Are there ways that we can make this more amicable, less expensive? What are we doing to get this done? Because we do want this done and we want it done fairly, we want it done well, but not where there's sort of an open-ended, let's keep going back and forth. No, we want this done and we want it done as efficiently as we can.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through your Mayor Lobo, I understand the process. I also understand this is our first contract. With that comes an expense. And we have staff sitting in on this. And I mean, we're all looking at the numbers and our eyes are going bigger. But this is what we have in front of us. Again, this is our first contract. With that comes unique expenditures. And it is what is here, and we just have to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg, do you have any comment?
No, I'll wait till you speak.
I guess, I'm hearing everything that, and agreeing with everything that I've heard so far. We do need to do it. $50,000 is extremely lots of money. I don't know. Is that going to cover it? Is there another request asking to be asked about it? And Deputy Mayor is absolutely correct. It is the first time, so you expect it to be a little bit different. However, we have no responsibility. We need to get more insight into what's going on. And we can't get into the nitty gritties, but I'm thinking that perhaps we should have our consultant address council again and find out where this could go, possibilities. Because I'm thinking we need to know more information. That's my thoughts. Councilor Booth, do you have a comment?
Yes, through your worship, I agree with what you're saying and what Councilor Ainsworth and Mayor Catherine say too, is that's a lot of money we're spending, and maybe we need a report from that person to come to us to tell us how things are going, and are we looking at in another couple of months, another $50,000 or whatever. So I think I agree with what Councilor Ainsworth is saying. We need to see where that money is being spent.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I'm wondering if the avenue to get the information would be through our HR department. If we bring this individual in, that's going to cost money. Money is an issue, or not an issue. We're all looking at the money part of it. Would that give us the information that we need and the projection? moving forward. Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. I'm just looking at the most cost efficient way. You,
Go ahead, Mary Kaplan.
I appreciate your comments, Joan. I'm just thinking to it, there's only one person in that room that is our employee because she's our consultant we hired who's been through this before. So I think that the consultant would be able to provide us with information and insights that we wouldn't necessarily have otherwise.
Mike,
Through you, Mayor. So this next $50,000, if we don't get it today, is that going to hold up negotiations in the near future? If it's not, can we get Mr. Doucette to come back and kind of give us another briefing on how things are going and where the costs are?
to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know that answer. Because we're not privileged really to the dates or anything like that. I guess we could ask that. I'm not sure if we can. Well, I guess we can. When are you going back?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, if, as a matter of procedure for today, if council's looking to have the consultant come back, I can reach out to them and try to get us in for committee of the whole. Again, it's subject to her availability, either committee of the whole next week in closed, or we can look at the planning meeting later in the month. I'm not sure, I can't speak to where we sit in terms of the current budgeted amount. I don't have those figures in front of me, so I can't speak to that as to whether or not that would impact anything in terms of the remaining amount in the kitty. But I can certainly reach out. So if that's council's wish to have the consultant come back, I would recommend a motion to defer. And that staff be directed to invite the consultant back. And that would put this report and this bylaw and decision on hold until you get that information.
Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Mayor. I would make that motion that we defer this.
Yeah, you seconded. Seconded by Deputy Mayor, pardon me, Councilor O'Brien. Anything else needed there? Just to defer? And do we need a reason for the deferral? So we get some more information? And Mike, you're making a motion, you also asked for the update on the
Yes.
where we spent, how much we spent thus far? Correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And some type of breakdown. And also you're asking that we not make any commitment to the $50,000 until we get back together, although at the same time.
I don't think that could. No. Is this time sensitive as well? It's extremely time sensitive.
And I don't know, I guess I don't know what our consultant's doing now, but I would think she's preparing again for the next meetings and doing all of that type of stuff. I don't think we want to delay that too long. And I don't know, from the treasury reading here, how much of the $50,000 that she's already spent, or if she need this for the next meeting. I don't know. When are we meeting again? Can you tell us that? Or not? No, you're negotiating last week of May. So if we could have that, I think it's particularly important that we get that information to their next week's meeting, if at all possible. Because the planning meeting is when? 27th. And when you're meeting is 28th at the end of the month. So that's right now. Pretty good. Okay. And if we have to make it,
We can't make him.
we can, what would happen if we instead of 50 put in 10? That prevents it from being complete stop. But it gives us controls to find out what we can expect. as a thought. Anybody got any opinions on that? Well, I guess it's up to you, Mike.
Well, I wouldn't have any problem if we, because I know we need to get this done, obviously. But, I also think the other party needs to know the expense of the taxpayers' dollars that it is to getting this done. And, you know, we're not a factory. We're a municipality and our residents are flipping this bill. So they need to understand that. And, you know, if we need some there to get us by for another couple of meetings, I would be okay with that, but I would still say that we need all that breakdown.
Yep.
To find out where the first is gone, where the second's going. And,
Are you willing to amend?
well, I just,
Oh. To defer the report, okay.
Right.
And to report what we spent so far, then we can put another one in there? Can we put in, if we defer, if we don't defer, if we give her, a smaller amount, do we defer that, or do we need a separate motion for that?
So right now, Mr. Mayor, you have the motion on the floor to defer the report in the bylaw and that staff be directed to bring the consultant in to provide an update and a report to council. So you'd have to deal with this motion first before you could go back and make any amendments to the existing one.
Okay.
But it does make for a bit of administrative headache in terms of constantly having to go back and update for small amounts. So that is something that I put out there for council's consideration as well. Having to continually update agreements and bylaws too. So at this point, I leave that to you as to how you want to proceed.
Okay, well, first of all, we'll take the motion. And what was the motion again? We'll take a vote on that.
So through Mr. Mayor, the motion on the floor is that there's motion to defer the report in the bylaw and that staff be directed to invite the consultant in to provide a report and an update on negotiations and costings.
And then you're gonna put that in for shooting for the town meeting? Or as soon as possible?
Yeah, I will, as soon as we dispose with the business, I will start the other business.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that? All in favor? Motion's carried. And I don't know if we wanted, I think we should have the treasurer or our temporary treasurer there as well, and if we have to do something to speed up, we can discuss that at council. Is that okay? All in favor? Well, there's no favor. We agree that that's what we need to do. And I don't know that, I'm gonna mention, I'm not sure if everybody in council knows who our team is that's representing the township in negotiations. That is, it's being led by Aaron. And he has the support of Emily and Jeremy. And that means it's pretty difficult for a small municipality such as ours to take on this, regardless of how much time it takes. Because that's basically half of Dave's structure staff that's reporting to him. And it must make it very difficult for him to get the job done. Because that's three key personnel. So, my 2 cents. Okay, we're gonna move on to bylaws. Bylaw number 38-2025 to amend 66-2023. Agreement with Comprint Systems Incorporated, which is otherwise known as DataFacts. And the recommendation is that the bylaw 38-2025 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 66-203 and execute an amendment to the agreement with Comprint Systems Incorporated DataFacts be given a first, second, and third reading and finally pass this 13th day of May 2025. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any discussions? Deputy, or pardon me, Councilor O'Neill.
Yeah, I'd like to, seek some clarity on who would actually own the voter list. Because I'm reading this and it, to me, reads that DataFix would then own our voter list. And they would control who that is, so that if we were to change providers at any point in the future, that would be a liability to us in having to purchase that list presumably from them. And I'm just wondering if this has had a legal review.
Thank you. Do you want to comment on that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there's been some recent changes to how voters lists are created within the province. Elections Ontario has taken over, so they provide the ultimate master list that is then provided to municipalities. VoterView is a software application that is very commonly used throughout the province. This agreement was in place prior to my time, but that software is a way of allowing us to update the voter list. So if we have any notices of deaths or if there's been any movement within our residents that would affect the voters list, we would go in and we would make those updates using the VoterView software. This amendment was sent out to all of their clients and across the province. So it's very common. It's not just sent to us specifically. So it did not go through an independent legal review because it's very minor in nature and the amendments that they're making, which is to just update their new address, the revisions of the definitions of a user and the system access. So it's really just identifying the, just up here, sorry. The amendment is just requesting that municipalities refrain from sharing DataFix login credentials with third parties from accessing the VoterView environment. So it's just making sure that those who have access to it, which would be AH staff, aren't sharing those credentials with any third parties that could be deemed competitors. So it's just an update to the general terms and conditions.
Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you. That does make me feel much better, and knowing that the list rests with the province was the piece that I did not understand and is very settled in my mind.
Good questions. Thank you for looking at that, because I wouldn't have known that, I wouldn't have thought of that. So it is held by the province, basically. Any other comments? All in favor? That's carried. The next one is bylaw 39-2025. And this is to adopt the 2025 tax rates. That its resolution is that bylaw 39-2025 being a bylaw to adopt 2025 tax rates beginning first, second, and third reading and finally pass this 13th day of May 2025. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councilor Booth. Seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Bylaw 40-2025 to amend bylaw 20-2025. Agreement with Doucette HR Consulting Investigations, and I guess we'll have to, do we have to refer this one as well? Okay. So we don't have to defer because the motion that we have already on the floor discussing this puts it to there. Okay, next one, we have motions to receive communications items. And items 15.2 to 15.6 to be received for information. Hamilton Township letter to MTO, Durham Region Band the Nazi Swazika. I don't use that term very often. Roseneath Women's Institute fee waiver request. The Port Hope letter of thanks to fire service support, and the Northumberland County 2024 annual development activity. Could I get a mover and a seconder to put them on the floor, and then we'll discuss and see if there's any ones that you want to discuss specifically. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. So we're just receiving them for now, and then if you want to discuss any ones, we'll ask you to bring them back up. Carried. Are there any other ones, any of these that you want to bring up specifically? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
The one specifically that I would like to bring, or two of them, is 15.4 and 15.5. 15.4, I believe and it had to do with the Women's Institute. I believe they asked this question last year as well. And just the two things with this. If we can somehow get a hold of this, or contact these people to have them go in our budget system, so it would be automatic in our grant process. So I would, as well, the thank you to the fire services for the support that came from Team Mama Alderman. I'd like to just acknowledge that because that's important. Thank you.
Thank you. While we have Jeremy here with us. Jeremy, can you comment on the most needs request for the Women's Institute? Is that just a one-time request or go ahead, Madam Clerk?
So through Mr. Mayor, the request from the Women's Institute, Roseneath Women's Institute, it's a one-off request for use of one of our facilities. I don't have it right specifically in front of me, the exact dollar value for that facility. However, it is a one-off. Council does still have a little bit of money left over in the community grant that would cover the cost of a rental. Should council decide to support this and waive the facility fee. And comment to Deputy Mayor Stover's questions about next steps for the 2026 grant application process. Staff are looking at doing a complete overhaul of how that process would look going forward, so that it's a little cleaner and it's more equitable and fair for all groups that we have. But also to make sure that we have these requests that come in at the appropriate time, but also to allow for flexibilities, recognizing that there will be one-off events that come up throughout the year such as this. So we're looking to build that flexibility and to work with and support our community.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you. Mary Catherine?
Yes, just to follow up on that, because I had the same observations as you, Deputy Mayor. And I know that our council has sort of kicked around that we do want a policy that is guiding these things. And that we thought a lot of that policy would involve our advisory committee to help with these types of things where they can have a more fulsome discussion and they just come to us as a recommendation that's already been discussed. So these are things that we have had come up on previous years. And last year, we specifically sent to the Recreation Committee a request to look at some of the fee things related to that type of thing. And they did make a recommendation, but that recommendation was within minutes. It wasn't pulled out as its own discussion. But I think it might be worthwhile if we're reviewing that to bring in that recommendation as part of the review to look at that piece, because it is something we've kicked around now. And this is our third year of kicking around. It's time to actually get the policy to go with that.
Is this time sensitive?
Yes. June 12th.
Go ahead, you have a comment, Mary Catherine?
I agree that we just approved for now, but we reiterate or maybe make it a very, probably we don't want to make it as a motion on the floor, but perhaps the deputy mayor and I could bring it back as like a notice of motion or something to get this policy moving forward.
If I may, I think it would be better to, in my thought would be to wait until we get the revamp of the procedure that Madam Clerk spoke about.
So you're saying don't do nothing for June the 12th?
Oh, no, I just moving forward, I just look forward to hearing the new process, so I would support this.
Okay.
What they're asking for. We don't know the amount yet.
Okay.
Through Mr. Mayor, if we're assuming it's for the community room, it'd be a $60 rental.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Seconded by Council O'Neill. And that's to waive the $60 and we're taking out of the, council support fund, I guess.
Thank you.
All in favor? That's carried. I kind of forget what you were saying about Port Hope.
Oh, the part one was just to acknowledge, the letter, and that is, a really nice thank you. And that going to our fire chief and, the team AH.
Yep.
And how important it was that we responded. The royal we, because I wasn't there all geared up with my fire outfit, but it's very nice to
Okay.
see this acknowledgement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I agree with you 100%. That's the first time I've ever seen one and it was very, very important. Other comments or ones that you'd like to talk about? Yes, go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
The Hamilton Township letter to the MTO, so that's regarding, what are they called? Our alternate routes during the EDRs. This is an issue that we've had residents raise, especially down in Grafton, but I know because the route goes out here that it can be very tricky to get out of my driveway at times, 401s, not my driveway, my on to 22 when it's closed. Cranny in the past raised this issue, and I know that our township at the time also gave some supporting information to them at the Good Roads that Mike and I went to in our first year. And they had a meeting with the ministry. Now Hamilton Township on the other side is sending a formal letter. It does apply to all of us, and I'm wondering if you could speak to your counterparts at Hamilton, or any of us could, I suppose, and see whether or not they're anticipating making a delegation on this issue, and that we could support and participate in a potential delegation if they are, and if they're not, then I think we should support and do our own letter as well.
I guess, if I can comment, because I'm a little bit more familiar with it. Crammy has made, they have a lot of problems. Brighton has an awful, just as many problems because they face the same thing going through the center of town. With red lights and da-da-da-da-da, and the county has approached the province about doing something about this. And, I don't think there's been 100% support from the province. Probably because they got other needs as well, but I think we should be sending a letter in support or taking staff prepare a report that we send to the township, to the province, backing up what Hamilton says, and we go from there. And very confident if Hamilton's presenting a delegation, then we should be attending as well. And if you're gonna be there, then, but would you do you have any contacts over there?
Yes, I'm on physician recruitment with Larry, but I know have had the opportunity to get to know them all, so
Can you let us know if
I'll
there's?
speak to him.
Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead. So I guess we need a resolution on that we support. And send a letter to Hamilton Township, all members of Northumberland County. With the lower tiers as well as the upper tier, and send it to the premier and the roads manager or roads minister. Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Lobo, this is just, fully support this. This is, and it really affects me directly where I live, coming through here. I really don't know how this would ever change the way people go through when the 401s are closed. They pay no attention to alternate routes, and I'm just looking at barring truck drivers from going down seasonal roads. As soon as there's an accident, that might stop some of the kerfluffle that goes on, but I just don't know how. I look forward to strategies to get a handle on this.
I was gonna say, the best thing you could do in your case is to go to the cottage on long weekends, but it's not just the long weekends.
It's been the winter too.
Yeah, and I fully understand knowing that where you live and everything else, the challenges you had. So I respect that. And can you imagine the people that living on Telephone Road
Yeah, oh yeah.
that were come off the 401 and they come roaring down there? And on a road that's not made
Seasonal.
for, no, it's not, it's seasonal. No, I'm talking between Frammy and,
Everything's jammed.
yeah, it's jammed right solid. And what it really made me think is we got that presentation from, the roads gentleman there a couple of weeks ago, and he said one tractor trailer is the equivalent of 12,000 vehicles.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
So if they have 100 trucks run down there in a day, which would be quite possible, we're cooking that road in no time. So you need to hand.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, just to confirm, I have a motion to support and send a letter to Northumberland County municipalities, the Ontario Premier and the roads Minister in relation to item 15.2. And I have that moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover, just to confirm.
Yes.
All in favor? That's carried. Are there any other ones? We've got Hamilton Township, we've got Rosemead Institute, we've got Orville.
This was stupid.
Anybody want to bring up the other two?
15.3.
15.3 or 15.6? Go ahead.
I'll just make a comment on 15.6. That was very fascinating reading and a lot of useful information. And I particularly found where they broke down some of the numbers from our neighboring municipalities of how we all fit together. Interesting reading. So just a comment on that one, and I appreciate it being on the agenda.
Mayor Lobel, I would support 15.3. And that is one area I don't want to say that it's not an issue down here, but I think it's great to support people that are finding it difficult at this time.
Okay. Councilor Ainsworth.
For you, Mayor, also 15.3.
I thought we were getting a seconder, so can we finish
Okay.
with this one? Do you want a second?
That's all.
15.6?
No,
No, 15.3. All in favor?
he had a comment before we voted.
I thought it was on 15. Go ahead.
15.3, Mayor.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with this here too. You're starting to see it on trucks, like tractor trailers. Yep, I've seen it on the 401 multiple times. The sign is about 3 feet round and there's a gentleman there with his machine gun blaring. So that kind of stuff shouldn't be promoted at all. So it needs to be nipped in the bud. That can be done.
So Mayor, or Deputy Mayor, what did you want to do with that? Support, send us.
Send a letter of support as well.
Where's that going to?
Well,
Province?
yes,
Or just take it from where the, come from the term and reduce that?
yes.
Okay, all in favor? That's carried. Mike, you wanted to talk about, oh, it was just 15.3. Yeah. Okay. All right, next, we have closed session items. So anybody that's on, attending from the public, whether it be here or at home, you'll have to leave the meeting because we're going into close. Thank you. Mike?
Through you, Mayor, just a notice of then in motion there. I don't know if I can, but I wanted to ask about 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on the agenda. Just because it has to do the fire department reports, building and planning reports, public works, parks and rec, treasury. But there's nothing there. So do we get those reports quarterly? Or, and I'm just saying, like, you know, there's a lot going on with Parks and Rec right now, you know, could we have more of reports coming to us on a more timely, or maybe Public Works has got a lot going on right now. Right, so I guess I would just like to see more reports coming more regular, if that's possible.
Thank you. Clerk, will you respond to that?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, in response to the questions, so the agenda headings that you have, we leave those on as our static, generic agenda headings. So they're there regardless if there's a report or not that comes underneath them. So that's why they're there as static standing headings. Because we've implemented the committee of the whole structure, that is where most of our reports are being filtered through. So we're trying to make that transition so that our reports for updates are going to committee of the whole. That is where council's meat and potatoes of the debate and the discussion should happen with staff and get those information updates. So there is a lot coming to you. It's just that period of transition right now while we have this extra third meeting a month. So we try to reserve the council meetings for reports that we need, sort of the reports that require decisions. So those recommendations that come out of Cal, they would come to council for that final decision piece, as well as any reports of a time sensitive nature. Those would get onto the council agenda. So that's why these council meetings look a little light, but that's because we're front end loading your discussions through committee of the whole, where you really get that more fulsome debates and such. So they do come. It's just a matter of being in that transition of the 3 meetings a month. And that's something that when we do the procedure bylaw update here in the next couple of months, that we're looking to streamline even further, so we can have just a better flow and less time in between our committee of the whole discussions and our council meetings.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, motion to go into closed. Motion to go closed, moved by Councilor Booth, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. All in favor? That's carried. Let's take a 5 or 10 minute break. Back at and I'd like to report on the close. The council met in closed session and received and accepted the resignations of Albert Botha, Jay McCormick, T. Grout, and L. Hilborn from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. And staff were directed to bring forward a bylaw to reflect the resignations. Council also received a report and legal opinion on development agreements for road extensions. Next, we have the confirmation bylaw. Okay. It is there. And I need a recommendation to approve I move in second to approve the report. Closed. Moved by Councilor Booth, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. All in favor? That's carried. Confirming bylaw 41-2025, confirming bylaw is recommended the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Alamo, Pelham, act as follows. That bylaw 41-2025 being a bylaw to adopt the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on the 13th day of May 2025, and to authorize the execution to be given a first, second, and third reading and finally pass this 13th day of May 2025. Mover to seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stovers, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. All in favor? Motion's carried. And the regular council meeting held on May 13th be adjourned at 1:20 p.m. Mover to seconder. You get your hand up? Yeah. Greg? Moved by Greg, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you, everyone.